that might have been an even bigger miss than the pass interference would have been, the helmet-to-helmet illegal contact.
No, I agree with you on that one because you had that miss, and here's a clip of it right here, just to kind of relive the moment.
Yeah, it's clearly helmet-to-helmet.
Clearly helmet-to-helmet, as you just mentioned. So this is pretty bad, and the thing that really bothers us more than anything else is messing with the integrity of the game. The game is meant to be played a certain way within the rules. Now, we got that out the way. Now it's time to talk a little football. And this is what I said before, and I'll say it again. It shouldn't have came down to that play. That happens whether you get the PI or not. The Saints still win by 10. I think that the Saints in that situation was the better team. What I mean by that is at home field advantage definitely in full effect. The dome was extremely loud. Man, every time the Saints did something, we were doing a chopper style. The energy was good. You played in a Super Bowl. Now, you played in 2 Super Bowls, right, or just one?
Two,
but you lost one.
Mm-hmm.
Played in 2 Super Bowls, so you know what this atmosphere is like. You know what the energy is around this type of game. And we had that here in New Orleans, right? That was the feeling, correct?
Yeah, man. It was the city was electric. I mean, I think that's the best way to describe it. I mean, you walk down the street, black and gold Friday. Well, for a little while, it was black and gold every day. Everybody had their black and gold on, every day of the week, man. People were excited because the fans know what kind of team they had this year, and they know what their expectations was from the team going back to last year when they lost that playoff game against Minnesota. So expectations were high. The team was, felt like they were playing at a high level, and the only thing that they wanted, the main goal, the only goal that I think anybody would have been satisfied with was a berth to go to the Super Bowl.
No, I agree with you 100%. That played the major part, well earned, and I mean we talked about that off air about what a Super Bowl actually means to the city of New Orleans, and especially in this climate, everything that's going on, et cetera, et cetera. You guys once again hit us up on Twitter at BigFave504. He's Eric Alexander. You can also follow him at EA_LSU Tiger. We're talking Los Angeles Rams, New Orleans Saints. Saints lost at home 26-23. The Saints owned the game in the first quarter, 13-zip. Second quarter, LA put 10 points on the board. And then from there, it got pretty interesting because it was touchdown for touchdown in the third quarter. LA was able to score. I want to say that was the Gurley run. And New Orleans scored. And in the fourth quarter, that's when it got really interesting. LA kicked 2 field goals to make it, I want to say 23-20. And then the Saints kicked the field goal in the fourth quarter to make it 23-23. We go into overtime. And that was the Will Lux field goal taking us into overtime. That was the recap. Now, what I was a little upset with, Mark Ingram had 9 touches, 31 yards. He averaged 3 yards a carry. What I'm saying is if Mark Ingram has 11, 12 touches, it's the difference in this game, right, E?
Yeah, I mean, I think you wanted to try to limit LA's possessions, and in order to do that, you're gonna have to develop a running game. So I think that if you run Mark Ingram a couple more times, that means you run a little bit more time off the clock, and plus you keep your offense on the field and limit how limit the amount of plays that Jared Goff and Sean McVay got to run on their side of the ball.
No, true story. That's the case. And if you look on the other side of the ball with C.J. Anderson, he only had 44 yards. Gurley had 10 yards. Gurley touched the ball 4 times. 16 carries for C.J. Anderson. So that wasn't the big deal. You go to receiving yards. Brandon Cooks, he had over 100 yards, 107. So now you're looking at the secondary of the Saints. But the name of this show is Inside the Trenches. And we don't just go blame stuff on the secondary like that. It's a personal responsibility, especially something you put your heart to up front to win. And I think, in my opinion, if you look at the big picture, like once the smoke really clears and you look at everything, that was the big issue. You had one sack inside the trenches. That was Cam Jordan. In a game like this, when we were playing in the NFC Championship back in 2010 at the time, because this was obviously rolled into the new year in your playoffs, and we were playing for the 2009 championship, those guys were hitting Brett Favre. I mean, Haka. Hello, somebody. Talk to me now. It was vicious up front. Bobby McCray. I mean, Will Smith, rest in peace, Will. He had a tremendous game. The pressure inside with Cedric Ellis and Big Remy up front, was really, it was better. It was better, man. E, you've been around some really good defensive linemen, Vince Wilfork. Let's talk. I mean, the listeners really need to hear this because, in my opinion, I'm not bashing the Saints, but let's be honest, the Rams won the inside the trenches battle. But how important is that for the defensive line to really get after that quarterback and you guys? Because, I mean, we're inside the trenches front seven, which the Saints saw success with that from the linebacking core with Davis. You talked about him last show and being a factor in this game, sending him. Talk to our listeners about the importance of inside the trenches.
Well, I really think that the pass rush plays a very integral role in what you try to do on defense because when you have a pass rush or a team that can get after a quarterback, you don't even necessarily have to get sacks in that way, but just get pressure and get that time, make that timing off and make the quarterback have to give it the ball, sooner than you want. One, you don't let routes develop out back, so you can, so their offense can only count on like a short passing game because you don't have enough time to let routes develop. But then also, you're not covering as long. You're not covering as long, so you don't necessarily have to be, great out back, and the back with the secondary, with the safeties and the corners and things. So, in a pass rush, kind of allows you to do, a couple of different things on defense, but it also, if you have some liabilities in the defensive backfield, a good pass rush can kind of make up for that.
It does. It really makes up for it. It gives the team on the back half, meaning the cornerbacks, the nickel back, a little more time. I mean, because these guys are covering really good route runners one-on-one. At least make the quarterback alter his pass, hit him. Again, what caused the interception for us? When Drew Brees threw that interception, he could have just held that ball, take that ball to the ground, threw an interception, and that pretty much sold it up for him. But we're not going to get away from the facts, and I think that really sucked the life out of a team when the ref makes a call like that. It's human error, but this will lead us to our next question, and this is really the topic of discussion. You listen to it pretty much every big talk show is talking about it right now, and that's the integrity of the game. That's the integrity of the NFL. At what point does the NFL step up and say, we messed up. This was our fault. We have to make this right to save the integrity of the game because now the Super Bowl isn't going to be that much of a big story now. It's not going to be as interesting as if it was with, I'm just being real, nothing against us, because we both played for the Patriots. You obviously were on the active roster for quite some time. But who you want to see? A cheating, I don't want to say they cheated, but a team that wasn't really supposed to be in it had the game been called right. And the Patriots, who, I mean, for Tom Brady as an individual, this is huge. And I'm a fan of the game first. Tom being an old teammate of ours, we're proud of him. We're happy for him. But he may be going to get his sixth Super Bowl ring. He has his fifth. And now he's in the conversation with the GOAT of basketball, and that's Michael Jordan. So I guess talk to our listeners about the integrity of the game. Should the NFL step up and do something?
Yeah, and they should, and I'm surprised they haven't at least released a statement, saying one way or the other that, we saw the play, we acknowledge the play, we're going to try to get better, certain things we're going to look at and prepare for in the offseason to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. It's surprising that hadn't quite happened. And to be honest with you, I mean, we can't fault, even though the Patriots or Rams are playing in the Super Bowl,
True.
We can't really put fault on the Rams. It's not, they didn't miss the call. It was the refs who missed the call. And so to have the NFL not really, at least at the very, very least, issue a statement, that's what's messing up the integrity of the game, because people are going to feel, or the bottom line is, there's no accountability towards the NFL, because, okay, if you don't, where else are you going to go? If you like American football, where are you going to go? You don't have nowhere to go. The NFL is it. And if you think these other leagues are really going to compete, and I mean, you're clueless. So what is going to who is going to hold Roger Goodell and NFL accountable?
This is a fan game, so you guys have the control. If it continues to develop the static, I know First Take. I didn't watch Undisputed yet after the game. Excuse me, drink a little of my water here. Quench. I didn't get a chance to watch Undisputed, but I'm pretty sure they said something about it too. Everybody's mentioning it. I saw Will Kane. He went into a rant like, this is a big error. This is a big pothole at this pothole, because we struggle with that here in the city, right? In the game, I mean, you mentioned other leagues. We talked about the Alliance League last time we were on the show. You got the XFL. They're coming up soon, the upcoming league. So you have, different leagues that's coming up. We're talking, if you're just joining us, we're talking Saints and Rams, baby, 26-23. LSU lost. I said LSU. LSU's on my mind. Like Georgia on my mind, LSU on my mind. That was a pretty good game this year. A little flashback already, but that's a sidebar. LA taking on New Orleans. New Orleans lost. Drew Brees not going to the Pro Bowl now. Michael Thomas also declined. I think they're just like, look, I don't even want to deal with the NFL right now, because I mean that call right there. There's a dark cloud in every. I mean, there's a silver lining in every dark cloud. Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper is now in there. So to the Dallas Cowboys fans that's tuning in, and the Patriots fans, hey, Tom Brady, he's going to go get his not only 5th ring but 6th ring. So I mean, this is big for that organization and their legacy as the greatest organization of all time. Arguably is. Well, factually, is the Pittsburgh Steelers, because they have 6 Super Bowl rings, right? So if you're looking at it in terms of success of a franchise, they're the most successful. And then the conversation goes Patriots. Dallas is somewhere in there, the 49ers, and then Green Bay. And then you kind of start to look at individual teams that had really good 2-3 year runs. But for the most part, this was going to be New Orleans, more than likely, 2nd Super Bowl. Drew Brees still has a year in his contract, right? So he can come back. There's the big question about Teddy Bridgewater. We know how important the offseason is, to see what offseason free agency moves they can make. The draft is going to be important. You're going to have to utilize your picks wisely. So, I mean, this is going to be a big deal. I know here in the 504, we're pretty upset. I mean, as a native of this area, I know you from H-Town. You're from H-Town, right? How old up? Where they at, dog? Down 10. Now, what part of Texas you from, E?
I grew up in Houston, but I went to high school in Port Arthur.
All right, Port Arthur, Texas, baby. UGK. Shoot. You know what it is. Trill album, one of the dopest albums to come out. Port Arthur, Texas, baby. Come on now. Zero's on that thing. E was already out of college at that point. When that CD dropped, I don't think he was playing out in New England. He got on the Boston tip. He was listening to more like New Edition and stuff like that. See, that's what he ain't telling us.
I don't think think so. I don't think so, Fade. Hey, but before we go on, let me. So there is a rule in the rule book that I'm pretty sure y'all have heard about, that where Goodell could actually go and change what had happened.